Good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another 5-minute weekly market outlook presented by Coinbase Advanced. So this week we're going to focus on Ethereum once again. So Ethereum now with 2 weekly candle closes above our final boss level. That is the weekly pointer breakdown from last cycle, the last weekly up candle before the devastation of selling started and we began our bear market. We have now gotten a pullback this week. We're in Tuesday. We're getting a little bit of blood to open up the week. And last week on the weekly market outlook, I told you guys that if the 4-hour trend was lost on Ethereum, we would be looking for a pullback into the daily trend confluence of that weekly pointer breakdown. This is the area that we want to defend. So we got that very clean gap fill, which is a core part of my trend-based system. And we're tagging the daily here. I think this is a place where the bulls want to step in and begin to defend. Anything around the 4K level, in my opinion, is prime opportunity for bulls to take this a leg higher into the all-time high push into price discovery. So this is the place where I want to be max optimistic. We had a couple triggers last week that I told you guys about would be the sign for ETH to give you that pullback. One was the weekly VWAP, excuse me. So I'm going to quickly scan over to the weekly. This is last week. I told you guys that once we got the tag of the weekly value area high, we want to see the weekly value held. Any loss of that weekly value area high is going to give you that extreme pullback, and you guys can see how much we've actually pulled back once we failed to hold outside of weekly value. From a trend-based perspective, all you got to do is look at the 4-hour trend, which is that beautiful signal. 4-hour trend loss is giving you that gap fill. So from here, 4K is the region I want to defend. I want to look at some lower time frame levels though, really quickly. So we've built out a nice composite value area here. The black lines you guys see on your screen, this is your composite value area low, this is your composite value area high. We're trading towards that discount region in that composite value area low. And we've got a classic kind of Monday's range sort of play here. So yesterday on Monday, we dropped to 42.24. We have run that low this morning. We're failing to hold below that. We got the tag of the 4-hour 100 EMA, which is the part of the daily trend, and we are bouncing. So this gives us a prime opportunity to play Monday's range. Monday's low, we're not able to hold below Monday's low. That brings into play Monday's high. So the relief rally here on Ethereum could take us all the way up to 4,400, 4,480 to be exact. That is your prime kind of Monday's range type play. That is your optimistic approach on ETH. If from here we reject once again and pull back lower, I would be looking to be bullish again in that weekly pointer breakdown region, in that daily trend region, in that range low or composite value area low region. All of these multi-pronged confluences for me, given the high time frame perspective, given that final boss sort of level of confluence, for me is the trigger to continue being very bullish on ETH for higher prices. So let's move over to Bitcoin. We would be failing at our job if we don't cover the king of the market. So Bitcoin, last week we talked about I think we were right here at the 4-hour trend. Said as long as the 4-hour trend holds, we are going to be optimistic for higher prices. That's exactly what we got. We got a brand new all-time high the minute that the 4-hour trend was held here. The invalidation for higher prices was going to be on 4-hour trend loss. I told you guys that if the 4-hour trend was lost, we would drop back into the daily. We would clean up the CME gap, which is these gray candles that you guys see on your screen. We did exactly that. We filled all the way from our composite value area high to our composite value area low. We dropped from the 4-hour trend to the daily trend. And now we have the exact same setup that I just displayed on ETH here on Bitcoin, which is the Monday's range play. So we've got Monday's low, which would be this low right here, set yesterday at 114,500. We swept that low. We're getting a little bit of bounce from here. The trigger for relief, or the big fight that we're going to see for the rest of the day, is going to be for the monthly open, the daily open, composite value area low, and our 4-hour trend. So the bears do have a lot of stuff on their side here. The bears are technically in control of the market. As long as they continue defending the 4-hour trend, they can really push price lower. But if they fail to defend at the 4-hour trend, and bulls can really start putting some price action above the daily open, and we can flip this daily candle to green. It's very early in the day right now. New York Open is about to open in 1 minute. New York Open often shakes up price by quite a bit. So this is the fight to pay attention to today. If we can hold above the daily open, I do believe that Monday's high is in play. That would also be confluent with breaking the 4-hour trend. If we can establish value and hold above this 4-hour trend, hold above the daily open, I'm looking at much higher prices. Probably another ping pong rotation back from the composite value area low to the composite value area high. Nothing different. Our meta for the past month about 40 days has been ping-ponging in this tight range between the composite value area low and the composite value area high. Any kind of failed breakouts bring that rotation down to the lows. Any failed breakdowns bring that rotation back to the highs. Once again, we are playing on the exact same meta that we've come to know and love in this situation. So one thing I'm going to leave you with, the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with, is the weekly trend. So we talked about last week that this would be the ideal place to bid on a high time frame perspective. So if we do fail this local consolidation, if bears continue to hold the reins at the 4-hour trend and push us lower, the 110K region, the weekly trend, which I would simplify as the daily 100 EMA, that is my place to gigabid Bitcoin and defend for much higher prices, new all-time highs, etc. That's going to do it for a 5-minute weekly market outlook, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave me a like, consider subscribing, and if you're interested in altcoins, you'll get that on Mondays on my Monday 2-hour live stream. That was yesterday, by the way, so if you feel like going back and watching that, feel free. Everything is timestamped. You can find the altcoin of your choosing and get specific analysis on that one. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good week. Good luck out there.